Ashley, you messaged me and you were like, yeah, okay, I'm up and feeling human now. Whenever you're
Yeah,
ready, we can roll.
I might have had a really nice Independence Day. Look, I'm not celebrating America as it is and exists right now, but like I'm celebrating what we're supposed to be and what hopefully we will return to.
So I made a video the other day where I said, which by the way, you can find me as the Rogue's Life on Instagram or Joel Sharpton on TikTok. And I make a lot of videos like this, but if you're interested in that sort of thing. But I made a video the other day talking about Frederick Douglass's 4th of July speech. What then to the slave is your 4th of July, which is
Right.
like great historical document. If you've never read it, go read it. James
Amazing.
Earl Jones has an amazing version that he does a big portion of it as an oratory. Anyway, in the video, I made the statement that like America was built to be great someday by men who knew they couldn't get there at the time, but the framework was there. And like a lot of their compatriots didn't ever want it to get to where it
Right.
should be. But the framework was built with that very thing in mind, that every generation would add to and continue the quest towards true freedom and true equality. All men are created equal. Um, and we're not there yet, but like
An
we can
interesting
think about it. We can dream about it.
and an interesting thing that happens, and you see it historically. I mean, you see it all the time. If you pay any attention to like history repeating its fucking self. Anytime we make a lot of progress in the correct direction towards equality, towards making sure everyone has the same opportunities, towards real independence, towards what America should be and what we want it to be, there is always a backlash
A
that takes us
regression.
back.
Yeah.
It's a regression, and it happens literally every time. And
The
then
pendulum swings.
it swings, and then it swings back, and it goes farther every fucking time. And that's the thing we have to remember is, God, that backwards momentum is so infuriating, and it's so unfair, and it's so fucked up and wrong on so many levels. But we've got to be there. We've got to be there to fight, to swing back.
I feel emboldened to have this entire conversation, by the way, by a piece of feedback that we got last week. Hang on a minute. I got to find it specifically because the exact quote is pretty good. This is at Dothel on YouTube on our last episode. I live for these discussions before the actual topic. Thank you. And happy belated Pride. Love y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Ashley, I said I wasn't late just because I wasn't paying attention, and it wasn't because of all the personal drama that I have going on in my life right now. It was because I was giving myself a little balm of joy and peace in this moment of turmoil in our country as we are not currently headed in the right direction. First of all, I want to acknowledge and say that we're both thinking about and very sad for the massive flooding going on in Texas. The
Fucking
Guadalupe River
horrifying.
rose
Oh
like
my God.
30 feet in 45 minutes or
You
something like
guys,
that.
it's like flash flooding like that is so horrifying. There's literally nothing you can do.
No, and I think the death toll is close to 30 now, if it's not
Oh,
already
I
over
thought it
there.
might
More
be.
missing.
Yeah, I think it might be higher than that. I think it might be in the
Yeah.
50s now. It's not good. It's really
Um,
bad.
significant damage. And fucking alligator Auschwitz, the concentration camp built in South Florida in the swamps, has flooded before any thank God, before any detainees are in there. Here's the thing, y'all. It's not that they didn't expect it to flood. They didn't expect it to flood yet. So
Because they
in
don't
that
give a
moment,
shit.
no, they very, very specifically don't give a shit.
Yeah. Giving things
But
cute names doesn't make it not a concentration camp.
that's why I refuse to call it Alcatraz. Alcatraz, first of all, is a museum, is a historical museum, and there are two at least really good movies about it. Auschwitz, alligator Auschwitz is what that place is. Like, look at the
Yeah.
photos, y'all. It is the exact same thing. But regardless, that thing flooded down there. Again, both of these things climate change, lack of our funding for the National Weather Service, and all of the accoutrement of the federal government over the last 6 months. Our world is in chaos. So what did I do today to make myself feel a little bit better while I was waiting on you to take a nap? Honestly, I watched the first episode of West Wing. I think I'm going to watch the
Oh,
whole
do it.
fucking thing
It is
again.
a balm for the fucking soul.
That's
Ugh.
exactly what it is. First of all, it's always good to see smart people good at their job do the thing that they're good at. Like, that's true. That's why we like reality TV. I think in a lot of cases it's like, oh, it's good. This guy's good at rebuilding bars, or this guy's good at
Right.
flipping houses, or whatever. It's that. West Wing is that, but also it's aspirational government. It's what government is supposed to be. It's what we want it to be and hope it to be. It's what it can be at its best. Here's the quote to end the first episode. And if you've never watched it, here's your time. Go. I think it's on Max.
It's
currently.
on Max.
Anyway, is it on
It
Max?
is.
I thought it was. Okay.
The last time I watched something, it was on Max, and that was probably like 4 months ago.
I bought it on Apple. The Apple store had it on sale recently, like the whole thing for like $40 or something like that. And I bought it not too long ago. So
I got the damn DVDs.
I had all of them at one time
happens. Too. Like, I will not be without my West Wing, by God.
But the president's almost not in that first episode at all.
Yeah,
the whole episode is about him.
He wasn't supposed to be in the show that much.
Exactly.
He was supposed to be like a minor character in the show. But you got fucking Martin Sheen, and he acts his nuts off, so
he's so good in it, man. But he comes in at the end, and he sort of tells the Christian right off and sends them out the way. And then he's in the Oval Office with all of his staff, and he gives this little speech, but he ends it with this: with the clothes on their backs, they came through a storm, and those that lived wanted a better life, and they want it here. Impressive. And then he tells them all to get back to work. But y'all, that's what this is. Like, listen, I don't give a shit about your legality, particularly. I'm wearing this shirt on purpose. This is Tecumseh, a great outdoor drama in Chillicothe, Ohio, right down the road from where Ashley and I both worked at Blue Jacket. Blue Jacket's not running anymore. Tecumseh still is, though.
Still kicking.
Go see that if you're ever in Southern Ohio. It's really good. But also, the reason I'm wearing this shirt is because this is the reminder for me and for Ashley and for you. We're all fucking immigrants, unless you're a member of a tribe. And even they came here once upon a time. It's just 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 years in the past, whatever the La Brea tar pits are telling us now. Anyway, my point is, this entire thing is not just wasteful spending and cruel and inhumane. It also has like no basis in good government or good policy, or it's not the reality of the way human beings work. Human beings are a migrant species. We migrate because of circumstance, because of need, because of birth rate.
Yeah. It is, no one is illegal on stolen land.
Yeah, man.
Real talk. Like, and oh, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
I'm not hating this book, and that's what we're going to talk about. Dothel, thank you, though, for giving me the chutzpah to continue. Like, genuinely, I do think sometimes, like, you're sermonizing. Like, let's don't do that. Let's just talk about the thing. But I also do think, specifically in our community, we need to keep staking out the boundaries and making sure that folks know that this is a safe space, and folks that wouldn't let it be a safe space know to get the fuck out, honestly.
Yeah, we're not for you, and that's okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that you like Anne Rice, but you haven't read it very well if you're not also upset about these things.
You can't be a fascist Star Wars fan.
Man.
You do not fucking get it. You do not get it.
Don't come to the Lestat party if you are, or fucking don't show up to this Lestat concert in fascist gear is all I'm saying. That is not going to work out well.
I know this motherfucker. I work with this guy. I know this motherfucker who has Lord of the Rings tattoos all over his body and is still a red-hatted MAGA fucker. And I'm like, you're the baddie, buddy. Like you'd be up with Sauron and Saruman and all those Orcai.
But no joke. I also, so once upon a time I was like, what? It turns out though, there are in fact Sauron fanboys. Peter Thiel one of the biggest billionaires in the universe and the guy that is currently running this entire show. I know it felt like, based on the news, that Elon Musk was in charge of our government for a long time. No, Peter Thiel runs Elon Musk. Elon Musk is Peter Thiel's boy.
Puppet.
Okay? Exactly. By the way, where did J.D. Vance come from? Nobody knew who the fuck J.D. Vance was. Even after he wrote his book, nobody knew who he was. Peter Thiel bankrolled his entire political candidacy and
He's
basically told Donald Trump that he was going to be vice president. Regardless, Peter Thiel, though, named his entire fucking company, what, Ashley? Palantir. The evil crystal ball from Lord of the Rings. The most evil item in all of Middle Earth other than the One Ring.
You can't use it. You shouldn't use it. You
just,
can't trust it. You don't know who's on the other end.
It's a portal to evil. That's all it is. Oh my God. Anyway, yeah, y'all, it's bad here. It's bad. We're in the bad place. I don't know what to tell you.
So, Blackwood Farm. Whew.
Welcome to the Articulate Coven, the original, unofficial fan podcast and community for Anne Rice's Immortal universe, the Vampire Chronicles, Lives of the Mayfair Witches, and the Immortal Universe TV series from AMC and AMC Plus. The Articulate Coven is Ashley and Joel, but it's supported by listeners just like you. Find out more at articulatecoven.com/join. Welcome to the Articulate Coven. We are your hosts. I'm Joel.
Ashley, still.
And we are the Articulate Coven. All right, we are going to get into Blackwood Farm. Let's talk about this book, because this part of the book is honestly really, really interesting to me. And I was texting you early this week. I said, I've wrapped up my reading already. This thing runs downhill.
Yeah. Well, and we're almost done. Like, we really could have done, but there's so much happens in this section.
The denouement is going to be good, and then also it will be a good springboard for us to talk about like what we think the next book, because clearly you and I do not remember this section of the canon.
Oh, no. I had so many surprises here. I was like, did I read this book?
I know I read this book because I remember the North Louisiana thing vaguely. I don't remember freaking out about it. And I guess I didn't freak out about it because of the bad geography. And I remember the love affair with Mona. And I remember that being like, oh, well, this is definitely for me.
And I
don't remember
kind of the end. I remember the end. I do not remember this vampire transformation. I can tell you that for goddamn sure.
No. And we're going to get there because it is probably the most interesting one in the whole whole series.
I can't believe I did not remember this. My God.
For sure. Okay. So on the one hand, Mona and Quinn's love affair, which is where this section starts. He runs away. They run away together. It's sweet. It's very sweet. And it's endearing. The two of them are very unlike basically any other pairing that we have in the books. The closest,
and they're well matched too. Like they're truly, genuinely well matched. It's the most age appropriate relationship she's been in.
I mean, he's too old to be running away with a 15-year-old, but just barely. And again, as we said, in the state of Louisiana, I think there's literally a 3-year law that would grandfather him in that case too. It wouldn't be statutory rape necessarily, but like that aside though, and again, you're right, in this series, this is about the most age appropriate you get. But you're right, they're both brilliant, they both come from similar, and they lay this out. Quinn especially is like, hey, no, I'm perfect for you.
Yes. Yes. And explaining to other people why he is so enamored with her. Like, he's like, she sees goblin. She sees goblin. She gets me in a way that no one else ever will, unless I meet someone else like her that can see fucking ghosts.
When Mona even lays it out, like, you also have a great house as the anchor for your life. You have a family with a story and a history and your own ghost. Yeah. Right. I mean, it is a different story than the Mayfair story. And maybe it's even a few generations shorter. And as it turns out in this section, very impacted by the Mayfairs, but
shocker. But they are, their lives kind of mirror each other in a lot of ways, which is really interesting.
So that's on the one hand, I'm like, oh, and it's really nice. On the flip side though, The whole section just showcases how clueless and naive and full of
Yes.
himself Quinn is. Like, Quinn
Yes.
makes himself very hard to love as a character while I'm falling in love with Quinn and Mona together. It was
Yeah,
weird.
he's 18. He's such like an 18-year-old guy. Like, I know and he's talking about like anytime he's taking care of something that's like what does he call it? He doesn't call it, it's not a manly duty. It's like a uh
What
how does
does
he
he
phrase it?
say? Uh,
I've been reading my actual book, so I don't have my notes aren't as good for this. But he's like, anytime he has to do something like he has to adult, as we say in this day and age, he's
think I
like
have.
clocks it, acknowledges it, and is like,
Yes.
I've done my manly adult duty for the day.
I mean, he might as well
Congratulations.
say, and my dick swelled 2 sizes
Mm-hmm,
when I
mm-hmm.
finished the task, whatever.
Yes.
Like, that's basically what he's over and over again. He's like, I'm very virile.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. I'm very virile.
which is great because Mona is very
Horny.
fertile too, as it turns out.
Yeah. Like, also, I really like y'all be careful. Y'all be careful.
In this economy, Ashley.
In this economy, in this day and age, my God.
So I love that Queen just accepts anything from Quinn and just rolls with it.
She is yes
Goblin,
and
great.
energy big time.
Mona, great.
Buys
Bisexual, great.
Goblin a first class ticket for the plane. Like
First of all, again, that was one of those moments where I'm like, Quinn, you reminded me how wealthy you are, and it's making you hard to
oh
be likable, sir. Like when he's just like, well, of course she purchased a first class ticket. I never would have thought of anything other, my dog. I'm like, oh God, I forget. Y'all got fuck off money, so fuck
yeah,
off.
they really do. Well, and like just everything that he's able to do really good things with this money now. He's able to take care of that whole family that needs to be
And to be
taken
fair, he
care of.
does.
And he's doing good things with it. But man, it is like flash and dash, no question about the expense of anything. Nothing.
So, and Mona keeps telling him that this was going to happen, but the Mayfairs do show up to collect
Yeah.
their
Of
their
course
girl.
they do. She's 15.
And interestingly, it's Michael and Rowan that come. And again, first of all, someone corrected us in the comments on the last section. We really do have to do episodes on that. That was the comment. We really do have to do episodes on the Witching Hour and Taltos and Lasher because
We don't
everybody
remember
has
them
forgotten
correctly.
the events of those books. Yeah.
Yeah.
This book absolutely takes place after Taltos. It's after the entire Mayfair Witch series.
That's what I thought it was.
See, I was thinking that this one was in between and that the next one took place after the end of Taltos, but I guess these two take place closer together.
Yeah,
Regardless,
these two, the next one picks up like boom.
yeah,
I think
immediately.
pretty much.
And
if I
these
remember it
two,
correctly.
yeah, that's what somebody had said. And these two books are literally the coda on the end of the Mayfair Witch series, basically, as far as Anne's concerned. Okay. When they come, though, first of all, it's interesting to me that they're a little aggressive in the way that they do it. And then it's almost like they realize they're dealing with serious people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh, you also have fuck off money. Okay,
Yeah.
well, look.
Because Aunt Queen's like, I'm sorry, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, I love her energy with them. She is like, I don't give a fuck, Mayfair.
She does say at some point something like, I'd be happy for you all to call at another time. Like
bless your heart.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. They leave, Mona leaves, and Mona and Quinn agree. They're like, okay, I'm gonna call on you. And even Michael and Rowan are like, yes, that's fine. We need to explain some things, but yes, she has to go with us now. You come
Come
tea
visit
or whatever.
tomorrow. It'll be fine.
Yeah, even tomorrow will be fine. All right, great. One thing checked off of his list. So Quinn gets active on the other thing that he's discovered. He's going to go see his uncle, Tommy, Pop's bastard child. And
I love Tommy.
First of all, Tommy's a genius. But there was one very specific thing that was like one of the first questions he asks Quinn. Do you believe in the lost city of Atlantis?
Tell me you're autistic without telling me you're autistic.
Yeah, right.
Can we talk about my special interest, please?
Oh, you were a big fan of that Spock TV show In Search of. Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I'd love to
You
talk to you
have
about the Kennedy
several
assassination.
YouTube channel subscriptions about cryptids. Interesting. Interesting.
Look, stay out of my algorithm, Joel.
I've got three things in my YouTube algorithm. Basically, there are horror literature stuff, Anne Rice and
Mhm.
Stephen King stuff, pretty
Love
heavily.
it.
There is some comic book stuff. I've got like a handful of channels that I follow that talks about like Star Wars and MCU stuff. And then there is conspiracy theory and cryptid and proto history and the debunking of all those things, because I follow several archaeologists and people who are like,
Yes.
hey, you know, all of that's
Calm
bullshit, right?
down. Calm down.
There is no
Yes.
secret chamber under the pyramids, actually.
Mine is like whatever current crime case is happening in the world, whatever that is. Right now it's a lot of the Idaho 4 murders and Karen Reed. And then I always have a lot of true crime documentary stuff in general, and then a lot of 9/11 content, a lot of JFK assassination content. Yeah, you can tell what I like. I also am very interested in mass shooting events, so there's that too. So I'm on all the government watch lists. I like Muppets a
Gonna
lot.
say,
I like Muppets a
let's
lot,
just
and
hope.
so then there's that added aspect. They're like, who the fuck is this person?
It's just gonna make it more suspicious when they go through your search history.
They're
Ashley,
like, how is she a top fan of PBS Kids?
don't
She
be at
doesn't
the
have
site of any
children.
crimes. Don't be at the site of any crimes.
No, I've been on government watch lists for a very long time.
It's interesting though to me specifically that Tommy talks about Atlantis, and Quinn even says like, yes, I do actually kind of think the city of Atlantis existed because Anne goes there. And
Right.
also Anne was clearly already sort of into it. And I don't know if you know this, but there's a book in this series later that includes the name Atlantis in the title.
The
So there you go.
realms of Atlantis.
And we'll get there eventually, y'all.
We will. We're churning right towards it.
So I love that Quinn is confronted with the inadequacies of the American governmental healthcare and governmental services packages. He's like, I knew there were problems with the welfare and foster systems and didn't know what to do. Oh, is it a complex issue to solve? Because he's like, I don't want to adopt all 7 of these children. And also it would be wrong to just steal them from her mother. And also she just have some more. So that's not really a solution to this problem. But she's terrible to these children, and just giving her money won't fix it because she's too uneducated to know what to do with it. And yeah, it's a complex issue trying to help people help themselves.
It's weird, right? It's almost like we should have systems in place that function to do that.
It's almost like it's not waste when there are entire departments to check and double check the way that we apply aid and administer it, and plenty of funding to make sure there's plenty of aid to go around. Anyway.
There's a lot to unpack.
He does know, though, that he's got, as we said earlier, he's got that fuck off money. So that means that he can say fuck off to a lot of these problems. And as soon as he explains it to Queen, they work it out. They're like, okay, well, we'll buy her house for sure. We'll pay for a nanny and a maid.
We're going to give her a salary.
Right.
So
we'll pay her so she's independent, but also but she'll have help. So she won't need to beat the kids.
She won't need to beat the children.
I mean, genuinely though, y'all, if everybody had enough, first of all, we know that this is true. You don't even have to give people enough. You just have to give people a little more and crime goes down drastically. I was looking at a great stat the other day. I can't remember what the second city was, but one of them that was being acknowledged. There's 2 cities that had new mayors recently, and within like 6 months, a year of their term, something like that, 18 months, I guess, maybe, both of their cities' crime rates are down like 150, 200% or something like that.
Shit, that's
and
big.
You're like,
that's
how did they do it? Baltimore is one of them, for instance, that I know.
Oh, shit.
How did
Baltimore?
they do it?
Woo.
They spent money, right? It's after school programs. It's free lunches for all the schools. Everybody needs to be fed. Everybody needs to be busy, right? Everybody needs to be well. Everybody needs to be housed. When those things happen, then the vast majority of people are not criminals. They are criminals or they commit crimes because they are in need, or they beat their children because they are in a dire
Ugh.
situation that they don't know how to get out of, and they take it out on the one person that they have any control over, or in this case,
Mm.
the 6 people that they have any control over,
Yeah.
right? That's not saying that it's right, but I'm saying even Tommy, even Quinn, this 18-year-old kind of naive idiot, sees, boy, if we just, and again, it's not just the money, it's the money and the help and the
And the
application
help.
of the
Yeah.
money, and it's teaching her how to do it, and it's making her feel independent. Having money of your own. This is why I'm like, UBI, baby, UBI. Every UBI would do so many things for the entire world. But
Yeah.
anyway, y'all, this is a good section, honestly, and I like to see Quinn kind of struggle with this, and even Queen is not exactly certain how to fix it all, but they immediately go to work on the problem. I do like
Yeah.
that.
I do too.
Once upon a time, the billionaires built museums, Ashley.
Exactly. Exactly. You should get to be a billionaire for one day, and then we're coming for you.
We'll name a museum for you, and
We
we'll
will,
take your
in your
money.
honor, but we're gonna take your money.
Um, okay. So he goes to Mona's house. He goes to the big house in New Orleans, and nobody is there, but there's a gate, and he opens it, and
I
suddenly there
love
is
this
a
scene.
nice gentleman there to see him and talk to him. I am your Uncle Julian, as sure as
Mm.
your Aunt Queen embraced Mona yesterday. And the first time he says this, it seems like what he's talking about is, I am welcoming you into our family as Mona has been welcomed into yours, and I appreciate
Right.
that. First of all, if you're reading this in the audiobook, Julian's got his proper French accent. Thank you. I don't know why they decided to make him Scottish in the show, sort of halfway.
Oh, we're so I mean, what was that accent? It was no. The only reason that kept me from thinking about Buffalo Bill was because I couldn't figure out what the fuck was happening with that accent.
Well, Harry Hamlin's going to do it from now on, so it won't be a
That's
problem.
right. That's right.
Um, Spoiler alert for a terrible show you shouldn't be watching anyway, probably. Um, Julian says, my coming there, meaning Blackwood Farm, was a macabre and romantic experience, which I wouldn't divulge to you in any detail, except I must.
Except
And
here I'm
so,
gonna.
yeah,
No, just fucking Julian. This
indeed.
is the most Julian Mayfair shit I have ever heard in my life. Oh, my friend is worried about fucking a virgin. How about my other friend dresses up in a costume and fucks his wife for him? What? Of course Julian Mayfair's involved.
Two things in this story. First of all, so Julian lays out the story of Manfred's fall from grace and the beginnings of the um corruption of the Blackwood family,
Yes.
and how they're connected to the Mayfairs, and why specifically everybody is worried about Mona and Quinn being together. But
Yes.
there's two things in this story though that I thought really, really interesting. And again, it makes me go back to, well, somebody over there on these TV shows is reading the books. First of all, the fucking in a mask thing is a thing that they do in the first season of Mayfair
It is.
Witches.
It definitely was.
Someone stepping in to replace a lover. And then the second thing is this idea of a secret gambling club. Okay. So the way that Julian describes it is that these men are so wealthy they've stopped gambling for money, they gamble for favors from one another, right?
Mhm.
Which is exactly the sort of fucking thing that rich people do. It's the
Favors and
exact,
secrets. What?
I mean, it's the thing that happens in frat houses, right? Or that's what you hear about anyway. Yeah, I'll do that thing for you, but you got to do this thing for me. Anyway, that's what he's talking about here. But the way that he describes the gatherings and the games specifically, it reminds me very much of the back room games in season 1 of Interview with the Vampire
Yeah.
that Louis was part of, or even hosting a couple of times eventually after he took over the bar. Also, we have already visited Storyville in this section, or in the last
Yes.
section of the book, with Rebecca's story, right? She worked in Storyville. So again, I don't think that's just because these things are all connected to New Orleans and they're using New Orleans history. I do think specifically Rollin Jones, well, we know Rollins read the whole fucking series, right?
Right.
Like, cause he's already pulling things. And I think this was in there. It's just like his version of it. I genuinely would not be surprised if we get backfill eventually of Julian being connected to that time period and knowing Louis
Yeah.
vaguely, or
I would
whatever.
love I actually would love that, I'm not gonna lie. I'd be
And it wouldn't even be hard to retcon of like, well, why didn't they ever show up again? They make it very clear in this book. The witches stay the fuck away from the vampires and vice versa.
fucking
Like,
with them? Mm-mm.
yeah, no. They know who we are, and they have power of their own, and there's no reason to interact. Now, that probably wouldn't be true if like Akasha came to town, but in
Mm.
general, that's not who they're dealing with,
Yeah,
So
no, if they could, I mean, I guarantee you if the Mayfairs figured out how they could harness that shit, they would. But
you're probably right on that. Yes, you're probably right on that. Um, so Julian had played the breeding bull for the Blackwoods there, not once, but at least a few times. He fathered Queen and Quinn's grandfather. So Aunt Queen is literally Julian's daughter,
Julian's daughter.
and Quinn's grandfather was also so Pops's father, right?
Mhm.
Or is Julian's grandfather, is Quinn's grandfather Pops? That confuses me
Yes,
now that I'm thinking of it. That is his, yes,
that's his
because Patsy's
grandfather.
his
Because
father.
Patsy's
Yes.
his mom. He's Patsy's dad.
So
Yes.
so Julian's brood is now in control of both the Mayfair fortune and the Blackwood fortune, interestingly enough. So Julian lays all of that out for Quinn, and the whole time they're eating animal crackers and drinking chocolate milk.
Hot chocolate.
And hot chocolate, that's right, hot chocolate. And they're having this lovely little conversation, and suddenly Rowan and Michael are on the porch, and Quinn, and they're like, "Hey Quinn, what you doing on our back porch,
What
bud?"
you doing in the yard, buddy?
And he's like, "Well, I was just talking to Julian." And Julian's
Oh,
not there, Ashley.
no, nor are the cookies, nor is the hot chocolate.
Marge hadn't driven that 18-wheeler for 15 years now. I mean, that's what I thought of immediately, because Rowan and Michael are like,
Well, there hasn't been a Julian around here for 30 years.
So Rowan, I think because of the ghost, she's like, you know what? No subterfuge. And this isn't even really my story to tell, but let me just lay this shit out
Let's
for you.
just do this. Let's just fucking do this.
You and Mona can't fuck. It's because she'll die. Okay. So like that's why we're all worried. That's why this is a problem. That's why you gotta be cool, man. Mona is like an unlimited conceiver, basically. She is always fertile, and not just fertile, but always what's the word? Ovulating. She's basically
She's
perma ovulating.
I would fucking hate that.
I mean,
I would hate
right?
that. I would probably off myself.
Okay, but I will say that sort of explain, and we've joked about it before previously, but like Mona, the character of Mona in the novels is always not just fascinated by sex, but like
It's
sexually
beyond
driven.
it is beyond precocious.
I
It's
mean,
like
she's the kid who humps this arm of the couch when everybody's around and just like stares you full on the face, while she does it. Yeah. Right? I mean, like we've all seen that person. Yeah, well, I mean, it is absolutely a thing that you'll see little children do sometimes. And so you literally have to explain to them in some fashion, hey, you just have to go to your bedroom and do that to a pillow. I guess that's what you're going to do. But like,
well, and like at some point that does really explain, like when bears are in estrus, like they can't do anything but want to fuck other bears, and so like they can't even have cubs around. Like if they have a cub at that time, they go into estrus, they're like, you gotta go because a big bear is going to come and eat you so that they can fuck me. And so it's just like this. I was like, I'm really into the fat bears at Katmai National Park. And so like, that's all I could think about with this section. I was like, oh, she hit puberty and went into estrus. And now she just wants to fuck the bears.
But we have to remind, it wasn't just the puberty that did it for her. It was very specifically, she gave birth to a Tautos in those novels. Again, spoiler alert if you haven't read the Mayfair books, but like you should. The Mayfair women, and they sort of hint at this, they don't lay it all out for Quinn, but they basically do. The Mayfair women,
complicated.
they call it a mutation, right?
Yeah, like a genetic
produced
mutation.
A mutation. Yeah. But that mutation is a different species. They give birth, Rowan and Mona at least, are capable of giving birth to a different species under the right circumstance. And both of them have already done it in these novels at this point.
Yes.
And because of that, it's like Mona's body, and this is what we know from those books, it's an entire genetic project, right? For generations and generations, they interbred the Mayfair women to make this
these
kind of
two.
a thing,
Yeah.
right? And not just one, but so they could make many, many Taltos children is the idea. That was
Yes.
what they were supposed to be doing. And because that is not what's going on for Mona, she's in this state where she would just have constant pregnancies. And even if they gave her abortions or whatever, every single time, and I mean, anybody listening to this should know this, every single pregnancy is a dire danger to that woman's health. Even a very healthy and normal woman without any health concerns, Mona has many at this point, and she's still very young too.
Yeah.
So anyway, they lay all of this out for Quinn, and they're like, hey, okay, man, like, do you get it now? Do you get why we don't want you to do this? And basically, Mona has come down at this point, and her and Quinn are basically like, got it. Nothing but hand and mouth stuff.
That's right. That's right. Except they lie. Or maybe they don't. I don't know. I feel like they
I think actually that time they don't go, they don't cross the boundaries. I think they're both well behaved.
no penetration.
Yeah. I mean, it is so funny to me. And this already, and I don't know why it was surprising, because he's come down one time and he's been like, I fucked a ghost and lost my virginity, y'all. And then another time
he's very happy to report his sexual experience.
Do y'all know my ghost friend gave me a hand job in the shower earlier? I'm bisexual now.
At least for ghosts. I don't know.
Most of us wait for college for that sort of experience, Quinn.
I'm bisexual for ghosts. God.
Anyway, it is interesting to me though that both of them are like, yes, we'll obey you, but also get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah, we're gonna put
this man in my mouth.
Put things in peace. Put things in parts. Put parts places.
Oh my god. Okay, so Quinn is going to get tested for the Taltos making genes as well. And again, like, if he has them, I think they would be like, hey, maybe not even mouth stuff. It's too dangerous to have you in the room.
Yeah.
But
you
Mona's like,
friends.
I promise, no penetration. Now go away, and chases him up, drags him upstairs. So this new section here of Quinn and Mona sort of playing house, I wrote down, it's very emblematic of what it's like to be 19. You feel like you have and understood every mystery of the world, like by that second year in college or that second year in the workforce.
I was so stupid.
Then like somewhere before 30, you realize what a fucking numbskull you've been. And then you spend most of your 30s going, is everybody this clueless about what's going on?
That is so accurate. So I remember literally, I was 29 years old. It was 10 minutes before midnight on April 29th, my birthday being April 30th. And I sat there crying. I'm only going to be in my 20s for another 10 minutes. And then a little thing switched. And I said, wait a minute. I'm only going to be in my 20s for another 10 minutes. And all the stupid, fucked up shit I did in my 20s, I could say, oh, I used to do stuff like that back in my 20s. And I was like, this is fucking freedom. It's like a clean slate in your 30s. I love it. I loved it. Once I flipped that switch at like 11:54, I was fine. Right as rain. I did stuff like that back in my 20s. Precious.
What's it's Dunning-Kruger, right? The more you know about a subject, the more you realize you don't know about the subject, or something like that. Yeah. But like, it is so true. And it's just that process over and over again through life. Like, you feel like you've mastered something, and then you get just ever so further over the hill to where you realize, oh, there's another football field to go, and I know nothing actually.
Absolutely not.
But this is that moment where Quinn and Mona think they've got it all figured out. Everything's going to be fine. I love that the moment they arise from their sex nest, though, Sterling Oliver is outside waiting with Michael and Rowan. Like, I'm assuming it's been like gulp, 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 gulp from behind the wall for the last like.
We're gonna need some help. We bring in another adulty adult.
I mean, are they bringing in bottles of water? That's what I'm wondering. Like, you got to hydrate, and is the fan on?
Take care of yourselves.
When you're 19, I guess you worry less about those sorts of things for the long stretch.
No. You you've got a little more stamina than you do in your, whatever.
So Sterling, though, tells Quinn that it is a perfect time for going to Europe. Oh, no, this is Michael that says this. There's a perfect time for going to Europe in everyone's life. One can go too early or too late. And I
Yes.
thought that was an interesting, first of all, it is a very like privileged statement. As we said before, like who's got the fucking money to go to Europe?
Where's my before and after? I haven't been yet. Am I too
also,
old,
though,
asshole?
yeah, right. So they all sit down to tea, and the grown-ups tell Quinn like the shorthand version of the events of the witching hour and some of Lasher, but again they leave out all of the Taltos existence pretty much.
Look,
Um
it's a lot to explain. You had to have a whole book.
yeah,
So.
right. And then I love Quinn basically gives like the shorthand version of his life story too.
Yeah.
So now everybody knows each other. Quinn finally leaves and gets back home, and who has come to call on Queen and the family at Blackwood Manor? A mysterious stranger, Ashley.
A mysterious stranger. What a complicated character.
Okay. Did you recall that this character was hermaphroditic? No, me neither.
How did this is not okay? There's I don't know where my brain was when I was reading this. Whew.
Okay. First of all, help me, because this is something that I don't know. Hermaphrodite was a word that I heard a lot when I was a child. Is there a more appropriate word? I say a lot.
Intersex.
I heard it a handful of times. Intersex, is that what we would say? Okay. So Petronia
I think
is.
I'm saying that very confidently, like a positive, but like I feel like that's the more current nomenclature.
There you go. But this is a thing that happens. First of all, this is the very basest and simplest argument against the entire current governmental policy about there are only two genders. First of all, no, there are not. Gender is a fucking construct, sir. It hasn't even been consistent for the last 150 years. Blue and pink is all. Just Google blue and pink historically. But Petronia here is, in my mind, I think she's the only character of intersex origin in the books.
In this world that I can recall, that I did not recall to start with.
Yeah, watch us get to Vittorio the Vampire and realize they're all intersex in Vittorio. Yeah. I don't think so, but so bizarre that we didn't recall this. And here's the number one thing that I want to call out, because I didn't notice it until probably the second or third mention of Petronia in this section. With the second or third time she shows up, Quinn goes back and forth with using he or she, depending upon whether he is attracted to Petronia in that moment or whether he is scared of Petronia in that moment. When he finds Petronia, a problem or a threat, he says he. When he finds Petronia attractive, which he does even when he's angry at her or worried about her, but when the attraction overcomes the anger or aggressive concern, he uses she, which I thought was interesting.
It's interesting too, because he's bi, so it's not like he really cares about. But he also visibly sees visibly a difference between. Sometimes he sees Petronia looking more masculine, and it's probably a glamour that they do because of their,
So I was even thinking, though, maybe less than that. I mean, literally think about, you see, especially you see like trans transformations on TikTok or something, like where they go from one gender presentation to the other or whatever. Yeah. But like I see this a lot even in non-binary people or honestly even in cis presenting people, you'll like where they go from like, this is what I normally look like when I'm just standing around, and then like, here's me going to the club.
Yeah, here's me all
think
glammed
of up. Bowie's various presentations, right? Like Bowie could be the fucking Goblin King, but he could also be, a really good looking woman with not very much effort. Now, the one thing that Petronia's got working in her assets, Callum,
is a great big old set of titties.
A great big old set of titties, which we know Quinn likes based on all the other women that he's attracted to in his life.
Well, he wants to fuck his nursemaids, basically, so it's no wonder he's attracted to the titties.
At least the one. God, that comes home to roost in this section, too.
Oh, my God, yes! And I that either.
Me neither. Didn't recall it at all. So Petronia, though, so first of all, he right away is like, what the fuck are you doing
What are you
here?
doing here with my aunt?
And Petronia is so calm in this section, and she lays it all out for these folks. I was raised in a circus, and I have these visions of my former lives, and I've in all these former lives I've been intersex, and et cetera, and et cetera. And like, she also lays that out for, I see you're concerned about whether I'm a male or a female, or a
Mhm.
man or a woman. I'm both and neither, and all at the same
And
time.
all of it at once.
Yeah, man, such a weird situation here. It is so obvious, though, to me, and you're right, she is using some sort of glamour, because everybody in the room is like, Quinn, why would you be angry at Petronia? How dare you say those terrible things about her? And it's like you and I have talked about in the past about our political situation, where we're like, hey, 30 years ago, we were next door neighbors, and we both agreed that that asshole was a con man that you couldn't trust about the price of tea in China. Why are you throwing me out of your house and voting for that fucking rapist? This is one of those moments. Quinn is like, hey,
Hey, I
you remember
saw
when
her
y'all
dump
all,
bodies into the swamp.
you're like, you believed me about my ghost friend. You believed me about the ghost rapist. You believed me about the island, and it proved true. Maybe the mysterious stranger that showed up at your house tonight with cameos is what I am saying it is. It is
Oh
funny to
my
me
God.
that he gets gaslit like this.
My God, if you want to fucking trick someone, or you want to get Queen on your side, just give the bitch a cameo. Everyone shows up with pockets full of fucking
But
cameos in
she
this
has the
book.
finest cameos, Quinn. I've never
Mm.
seen any like these. Um, so
There's free puppies in my van.
so nobody believes him until Sterling Oliver shows up and is like, genuinely, that woman is dangerous and you all have to flee right
Go on,
away
get.
now. Yeah. I do love that Sterling has the wherewithal to never mention the word vampire to anybody but Quinn, right? Because he knows they wouldn't believe him. They would
Right.
even believe him. It would put them back on tilt if he came all the way there. But they have seen enough crazy shit that he can say that this woman is powerful and
Mm-hmm.
dangerous and you have to go. And that's exactly what he says. He's like, you need to leave for Europe like now,
Like
actually. And they're like,
yesterday.
we can't leave now, but we'll leave like right away as soon as we can. And so they do. They run away to Europe. They take Tommy with them, which is funny to
Mm-hmm.
me because they literally just buy Tommy from his
Yeah.
mother, pretty much.
Yeah. Change his name on his passport and his birth certificate.
You promise Tommy's oldest sister, the smart one, that she's going to get all the good
Brittany.
things too.
Poor
Yeah,
sweet
Brittany.
Brittany. And they
I
do.
love
They take care
Brittany.
of Brittany.
I love Brittany though. Is like, first of all, that's a fucking strong woman too. Like, right? Like, she's like, no, it's fine. I expected that he would go to Europe, and I would not. That is
Yeah,
fine. I am
that is the
glad
way
for
things
all the
happen for
money.
Brittany.
I am glad for all the money and the maid and the nanny and
Yeah.
that's all
I get to
wonderful.
go to a good
Appreciate
school
you.
now. We're set.
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't trust all this money.
Goblin fades away on the way. They've got him a first class ticket, like we talked about. He's sitting there with Quinn. Quinn's holding his
This
hand.
was really sad to me for some reason. I was really like, I'm excited for Quinn to not be bogged down by Goblin, but I was like, oh no. Like, this is probably going to have some pretty nasty repercussions.
Well, at the very least, you think to yourself, Goblin's going to be much more aggressive and less helpful when next we meet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, maybe you've
He's got
evaporated him into
feelings.
non-existence. And if you did that, well, that sucks for him because he seems to have been a sentient entity.
Right.
And boo on you for that. But also, if you didn't do that, consequences and repercussions, motherfucker, they come in your way. And
Fuck
they
around,
do eventually.
find out.
Indeed. So they start their European adventure, and Mona and Quinn are emailing back and forth, which this again is like so fucking 19. They make
Oh, it's
bullshit
so funny.
email addresses.
It's like email, like, and how
and
it's
off
like in
Abelard
capital
or
letters
whatever.
and like,
Yeah. Well, that
yes.
again, every time the vampires talk in some funny way about modern technology in these books, you have to remember that is literally just because Anne was an old fogey herself in many ways and
And
was
well, and
constantly amazed by new technology. Look at the
yes.
flashing lights.
Ooh, my
She was
God.
big iPhone fan, even though she didn't
Yes.
know what the fuck that thing did.
I love it.
So Mona and Quinn are planning their future no penetration marriage. And Aunt Queen keeps getting reprised from the Grim Reaper. Before they left, we didn't talk about that, but right before they left, um, I I can't remember who reads it, but somebody reads it. I think Sterling does out loud. Says, "I read it in your thoughts, and I didn't mean to, but the doctor told you this is your last trip to Europe." And then Jasmine even says, "No, the doctor told her she shouldn't go to Europe." And Queen says she was going to anyway, and the doctor says, "Well, this has got to be your last trip then." She's dying. She shouldn't go. But I'm fucking Doc Holliday was supposed to be dying of tuberculosis, and he went out
Yeah.
west and lived for years and years and years.
Look,
So,
listen, go fucking live your life. Go
indeed,
to Europe, by God. If you got it, go to Europe.
So Queen gets her reprieve, and they're enjoying their time in Europe. It's like it ends up being like 3 years, I think, that
Three and
they
a half
spend.
years. 3.5
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
Fairly uneventful, Quinn says as he's telling this tale,
Yeah.
until they get to Pompeii. So in Pompeii, which by the way, he already knew at this point that the mysterious stranger had a fascination and connection to Pompeii that's come
Yes.
up in his exploration of the island. Why wouldn't he avoid it? But no, here he goes right into the fucking lion's den.
Probably go to. Come on.
I
I'd be
don't think
curious.
somebody did say in the comments that Pompeii is absolutely worth building a trip around
No,
in case you want to.
100%.
Yeah.
I would. Yes. That was, we were just being critical, but
If
yes.
I was avoiding a intersex vampire that was hunting me, I don't think I would go to Pompeii if I knew they had come from there.
Maybe in the daytime, though.
So he sees Petronia and he gets some flashbacks from her. He sees like the fall of Pompeii, basically Vesuvius erupting and her being involved in that somehow. He finally gets home because Queen is dying. Queen is actually very, very ill and they have to go home. He gets there and then immediately goes to the fucking island at night.
This is the dumbest fucking move anyone has ever made in the history of fiction.
And that's saying something when we know people like Jonathan Harker, for instance. But
right.
Yeah, this is high level dumb.
This is so stupid. On like, you've number one, you already know that your vampire friend out there, you have a rule that they get it at the nighttime and you get it at the daytime. You have an agreement. You're breaking an agreement with the fucking vampire.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. He knows what Petronia is at this point. Like, it's
what
not
are
a secret.
you doing?
He's not confused. But anyway, there he goes out there.
You get what you get. This is what happens.
So Petronia grabs him and says, "You made an annoying enemy once, and now I want you to love me. Perhaps when all is said and done, you will." She's drugging him this whole time.
Yes.
And he's out there for a while. She says, "We'll part soon enough in my time, though not in yours. I think I've been waiting for you these long 3.5 years." So she takes him to somewhere else. And Ashley, we've said it again and again and again. Do not
Don't go to a second location.
To a second location. Yeah. I mean, he didn't have a whole lot of say-so in this one. This is like tied up in the back of the van kind of thing, except in her arms flying, which, by the way, she flies.
Let me wrap you in a mink coat and steal you away. Kidnap you in mink.
He overhears two of her helpers at one point arguing, and one says she's not God, and the other says, no, not God, just very powerful and very cruel. Ashley, we meet Granddaddy Manfred.
Did not remember that either.
Completely forgot this. Petronia made Manfred a vampire. That's what we realize here. And that was their bargain. All of the terrible things that we heard Manfred had done and whatever his deal was, this was the deal. He became a vampire.
This is the deal with the devil.
For his troubles. It is interesting to me, this threesome. So we meet Orion as the other member here. Orion, it turns out, is Petronia's maker. Petronia then made Manfred, and the three of them all live together, or at least part of the time.
Coexist.
Okay, this is probably not the strangest coven in the Vampire Chronicles if we go and look at all of them, because there are
No,
some weird
no.
pairings, right? But it
Yeah.
does make me wonder what the dynamic. Obviously, Petronia is at least somewhat deferent to Orion, and yet
Right.
Orion does not want these things and does not approve of these things, and yet won't stop her from her
Mhm.
mistreatment of Quinn in particular. Sort of makes an argument against it to her a few times, but anyway, vampire politics is very strange to me sometimes, and here particularly.
Look, their relationships are quite complicated. They're like, if you think you have a complicated relationship with somebody you've known 20 years, imagine knowing that same person for 400.
So it's Orion, actually, by the way, that tells Quinn to call vampires blood hunters. He says, blood hunters, please, and then corrects him specifically on the name, which means that Orion is the reason why Petronia uses it, and thus forth, why Quinn's going to in the future. Here, let's get to it now. Quinn's siring is what the vampires call it most often. This feels like something that I really should have remembered better. He gets
Hey,
drained. He gets drained like thoroughly and is very close to death, as you have to be before you can be turned in Anne's world. And then he's trying to fight Petronia a little bit, and in one of his clumsy movements he grabs at Petronia's crotch. Now he's just literally trying to grab whatever is near, or trying to do any damage that he can, but she takes it personal, like, oh, you're trying to fuck with me
you
because
want
you
to
know
see
I'm
it?
man
You
and
want,
woman.
yeah, exactly.
So she whips it out and forces her dick into his mouth. And Quinn does what everyone should do in such a situation and bites that
Bites
fucking
it the
dick as
fuck
hard
off.
as he can. I mean, almost. It's a vampiric dick. So it doesn't go. First of all, yet another example, though, where I want to say, Petronia is not doing this for sexual gratification. It doesn't seem like at all, or very little anyway. However,
Well, it
Petronia was
turns
hard before it ever came out, right? Like, she's rock hard when she pulls down her pants. So again, going back to our last week's conversation, or 2 weeks ago, about Anne's vampires and whether they're asexual or whatever, they might not like actual coming very often, but they are hard.
they
Not a
will they
problem.
their members are quite hard.
Yeah, it all works. I'm
Yes.
just telling you. So he bites it, but Ashley, what is an erect penis full of?
Blood,
Lots of, in this case, vampire blood, as it
full
is.
of
So,
vampire blood.
so he has
My
this
god.
insane moment where he is trying to injure her, and yet at the same time, his mouth is flooding with this blood, which we know from the other books is the greatest solution that you've ever tasted or felt in your life. And he then goes into these throes of understanding her personal story,
Mhm.
and
It's so crazy.
intimately living images of her life, which makes him fall in love with her, right? I
It's
love I love the very end of this thing. Okay, first of all, let's talk about her story for a second. He says, here's my note. She was a gladiator and a circus
mhm.
attraction, pimped out by her parents in ancient Rome. So there's a reason she's so angry all the time. She was literally used and abused and trained as a weapon, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna have an
Orion
attitude.
finds her. Yeah, it's not an attitude. I mean, like, that was you bred to be that way. Orion finds her and trains her as an artist, and then Vesuvius screws it all up. Vesuvius is going to explode, so they have a plan because Orion felt it coming, and she
Mhm.
goes, grabs a handful of their servants, gets them out of the city, and as a reward, she's turned herself. We see all of that, and Orion, or not Orion, excuse me, Quinn is understanding now why she is the way she is, and
Mhm.
genuinely falling in love with her as this all happens. Meanwhile, again, literally, he's still biting her cock.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Yeah.
I love, though, that finishes with him like gently sucking it lovingly at the very end of it. Because again, like, not only has he been in this like, physical transformation into a vampire through her
Right.
blood, but also he's gotten all of her memories, and so like, actually, this is my favorite penis other than my
This
own.
is what a great one.
It's such a fucking strange scene, Ashley.
It
How did we not
is
remember this?
Joel, I have no idea. I wasn't even smoking a lot of weed at that time. It was hard to
No.
find. Like, I don't know what I did.
So but he's not done, and he's not freed even after that. First of all, he comes out of that, and Petronia is sort of pissed that he has any of her memories and is really cruel about it. Orion takes over at this point, and he feeds from Orion as well to get strength. And
Mhm.
also, Orion even tells him, he's like, this will separate you from her a little bit,
Yeah, give you a little bit
and
of a
guard you. But interestingly, Orion hides his story, other than a few moments of beauty and affection, since Petronia didn't give him any. Like, he gives him basically pleasant
yeah,
thoughts, but no real memories of Orion's past. I thought that was interesting.
yeah. He
Um,
has more control over himself.
I don't remember. I don't really remember Orion either, and I don't in this moment. I don't remember where Orion goes from here in the stories. I'm hopeful that he shows up. I like this character, although, like many of these characters in the novels, you're like, why would you put up with Petronia acting like this for fucking centuries? Like,
Oh, it's not as long as it feels to us, I guess.
guess so, man. Um, so, but literally, he finishes with this cosmic blowjob, and he
So
says,
wild.
I was a drunk man at the height of his folly, regretting nothing. Well, now you're bisexual, Quinn.
Welcome. It's so funny.
What a fucking section, Ashley.
Man,
This
when I was reading it and it kept going and I was like, this is still going. We're still going. And then it yeah, this has a lot of twisty turns in it.
uh I'm so glad that we ended on his transformation. Like, that was it. I mean, and it makes sense too, when you're constructing the book. If she did get any notes from her editor, it's like, yeah, you move this up a chapter or back a chapter. Wrapping 40 on his transformation is like, oh, okay. Also, though, knowing how little of the book is left, I'm like,
Yeah.
boy, we're going to get directly to that fucking goblin problem now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Also, what happens to Petronia from here? Like, where does Petronia go after this? And why don't we know more about them?
And why don't we remember anything?
Indeed, indeed. I do wonder at this moment, based on some of the things that Petronia said, my guess is that she's going to pull a Magnus, and or I should say a fucking father of mine, Everclear. My daddy gave me a name, and then he walked away.
Oh Jesus. Yeah. She might self-immolate or just go
It
away.
I mean, it
I'm
feels like, I mean, yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe she was just tired of this pairing and this current existence, and she really she's creating herself an heir and then going on. But we know that in the present day, as Quinn was headed down to find Lestat and solve his problem, he's living in the estate on the island by himself and coming back and forth to Blackwood Manor. So, like, again, where's Petronia? Since they seem to still be antagonistic. I'm excited to wrap this
We're
book
gonna
up,
find out.
honestly. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming for you. Uh,
Poltergeist is next week.
I was gonna say it's not coming next though, because they're here. We're gonna watch
Y'all.
Poltergeist. Very, very excited about that one. That's our next movie club, and then we will wrap up Blackwood Farm. Then on July 27th, we've got the live stream.
Our live
So
show.
check out all the information in the show notes. Couple of things I want to remind you here of as we wrap up. As we're recording, it is July 5th. Next week is your chance to buy tickets for Anne Rice's Celebration of Life. It's July 11th. They're going to go on sale 9 a.m. PST. Make sure you put that in your calendar so that you can jump online right away, because genuinely, I don't know how fast they're going to sell it. There aren't that many seats in the place. Orpheum's a big theater, but it's not like the Superdome or something. I also,
No.
it's weird. It's like, what's the travel situation going to be like, and how is that going to affect is it not going to be so hard to get a ticket because it is such a weird time to travel? I don't know, y'all.
Yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, be available. Ticketmaster is where you got to buy them. You're limited to 2 per account. So if you're trying to travel with a group, you're going to have to set up a few people to buy tickets. Do that. That's in the show notes, or information about that is in the show notes. The other thing that's down there is a couple of things about our get together. We're going to be there that weekend as well. There is information on hotel bookings if you don't have one booked already. The Sheraton on Canal Street, great location. We've got a pretty good deal. There's a block of rooms available. There's several still available, so take advantage of that. The other thing that's in the show notes is a vampire tour. We're planning one with Rose Sinister, a vampire historian in New Orleans. She's a cool cat and a friend of the show. So we're going to do that. Probably it's looking like we'll definitely have one for Saturday midday before the Celebration of Life. If there's enough interest, we might try to book a second one on Sunday after our live recording. But regardless, put your information in the show notes. There's a link so you can go say yes, only on Saturday, only on Sunday, anytime you want to do it. No, I'm not interested, whatever. That'll give me your email info, and then we can hook up with Rose and get those booked for everybody. So that's the stuff that you need to know about now. Still working on our live recording where that's going to be, but it will be Saturday afternoon sometime. So if your flight plans are still up in the air, Sunday afternoon sometime on the 2nd after Anne Rice's Celebration of Life. So if your flight times are still up in the air, keep that in mind to try to attend with us. All right. Next week, we're talking about ghosties and ghoulies.
And
I don't think there's any ghost hand jobs in that one.
Not in that one. We have to go to Ghostbusters for that.
I was going to say, we could go to Ghostbusters, the nice family film, the family comedy.
The family comedy. You know, I told you that sometimes I just want to, I'm like, hey, I'm going to take a bath and watch the happy part of Poltergeist. Because, like, the beginning of it is just like a fun family story.
Before it all goes to hell. All right, we're going to send it straight to hell next week with Poltergeist right here. Until then, we have been your hosts. I'm Joel.
I'm Ashley.
And we are the Articulate Coven. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for sharing this time with the Articulate Coven. Support the show as either a free or paid member at articulatecoven.com/join. You can also find us on YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Find more from the Coven with our sister show, Flan Again, covering the works of Mike Flanagan.